Hey everybody, it's your girl Assataamani, and in today's video we're going to be doing something quite different. I am partnering with Dehancer Film Emulation, and they're basically plugins that you can put into your editing software to make your videos look like film. I'm shooting with the Sony ZVE10 Mark II, and I'm shooting an 𝐒𝐿𝐥𝐿 just for reference. And make sure to use my code before you leave this video, which is Assata10. Everything will be linked down in the description below. With that being said, let's go ahead and get it. Okay guys, so we're about to go ahead and start editing. I am in Final Cut Pro. This is what I'm using to edit because I feel like it's just much more simplistic, and plus I just got a new MacBook M4 chip, and I just find that it's a lot easier for me to edit in Final Cut Pro for some odd reason. With that being said, I already imported the video that I want to use. Here is she. I'm just flipping my hair and carrying on. Of course, I can cut it to make it look a little bit more appealing, but we're just going to work with this simple file. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to my installed effects, and we're going to go down to film emulation. This is where the Dehancer Film Emulation is going to be. And literally, you guys, you just drag it on top. Now, I did record an 𝐿𝐥𝐿 just for reference. And with this, you can actually input your sources and everything like that. You don't need to convert it if you don't want to. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go down to choose camera, and the vendor is going to be Sony. And I did use a ZVE10 Mark II, which I'm filming on right now as well. So it's doing its best to try to figure out what I'm filming on. The only bad thing and only downside is that this is not even offered. But the Sony ZVE10 Mark II actually shares the same guts, I want to say, as like your FX30. So I'm just going to go down to Cinema Line FX30, and we're just going to click that, and it's going to do its best. Now, the coolest thing about this, I think that what it actually chose already, you can just kind of play around with what looks best to you. So it chose the A6 300. And as you guys can see, it says 𝐿𝐥𝐿2 That's not what we shot in. We shot in 𝐿𝐥3 And we're just going to choose Cine, and it's going to do its best to try to figure out what exactly this needs to look like. So as you guys can see, we're working with a really pretty image already, but let's go ahead and dive deeper into this actual image itself. So what I like to do, this is just a personal preference, is I like to zoom in. We're going to zoom in just so we can pick up some of that film grain, see a little bit more. And I'm going to go around here, or let's do 100%. Yeah. Now we can see the actual film grain that, you know, it automatically puts into it. But just to start out, I am going to cut off the film emulation. I'm going to cut off the expand tool, cut off also everything that it automatically did, so that way you can see what you are working with. We're going to zoom out and fit it again, and this is what it automatically does. So now we can kind of play around with it and do whatever we want to do, make it look the way we want it to look. With that being said, I like the Kodaks, but my favorite that I've been messing around with has actually been Agfa Color 100. I just think that it looks very natural, but also you can see here, guys, there's so many different film emulations that you can use. You can use 𝐿𝐴𝐺𝐿 if you want it to look like that. You can basically use whatever you want to use, but we have to cut it on. So sorry. We have to cut it on first. So this makes it look very brown, very warm, very pretty. I like that. I actually do like this 𝐿𝐴𝐺𝐿. I'm going to go back to Agfa just so I can show you guys. It has that really pretty green and blue tint to it, warm, all that good stuff. So you can kind of play around with the film emulation first. That's what I choose to do, and make sure that it is enabled. But the coolest thing about this is that you can push and pull. So with pushing and pulling, as you guys can see, push and pull just basically whenever you're developing film, which I used to develop film, believe it or not. The coolest thing about this is that you can actually make it brighter or darker. And I'm just gonna pull it up a little bit. Then you have film developer right here. Just go down to show, and you can give yourself some contrast boost, color separation, color boost. We're gonna boost the colors just a tad bit. Then you have film compression, which is really cool. I tend to not really mess around with film compression. And sorry if you guys can hear, they're like mowing the same spot over and over again. It's really annoying. But yes, with that being said, we're gonna keep on rolling. We're gonna keep on trucking. This is what I like about this, the white point. So as you guys can see, I did overexpose just a little bit. We're gonna cut it on. I did overexpose just a little bit, but you can mess around with the sliders until you get the image of your liking. I'm just gonna flatten. Yeah, I think that looks good. Really what you do is you kind of just do whatever feels natural, whatever looks good. And this just kind of makes everything a lot easier just doing that. He's gone or leaving. Okay, so here we have tonal range. You can kind of mess around with that. I am going to mess around with this just a little bit. In color density, I'm going to mess around with this just a little bit just to add a little bit more vibrance back into the actual image. And expand is probably going to be like one of my favorite parts of this, to be honest with you guys, because you can change the black point. I always change the black point, always. So we're going to enable this, and as you guys can see, it makes it lighter or darker. And we're going to go right here. And then we also have white point, but I'm going to take it probably about right here, where it's kind of a little bit more muted. Yeah, like in my highlights. So we didn't have print. We can change that. We can change color head. And this is where you kind of get into your specific colors. So you have your yellow to blues, magentas to green, cyans to red. I like the way everything kind of looks already. I'm going to enable this just so I can show you guys some of the mid-tones. But as you guys can see, I can pretty much just mess around with every single part of my image. And of course, my favorite part is going to be film grain. In the film grain section, what we can do is we can add film grain. So we're just going to enable that, and then I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see exactly how big the 35mm ISO 250 is. If you want it to look a little bit more subtle, you can go up to 65. If you want it to look a little bit more, you know, like film, like real film, you can take it all the way down. And as you guys can see, it's a lot more rougher. And I'm just going to zoom out on this image a little bit more so you guys can see the differences as well. A lot more subtle, a lot more film-esque. I think I'm gonna go to right here. Halation is another favorite of mine, the halation tool. It's just amazing, to be honest with you guys. You can mask it if you want to, or you can just put on halation. And this does the same thing. So 85 will be a lot more vibrant, a lot more in your face, and then 65 would be a lot more subtle. So I'm gonna play this just for a tad bit so you guys can kind of see the way it looks. I think I'm gonna drop the drop it to right here. Yeah. You can also use the bloom tool as well. And this picture is kind of looking a little bit saturated. So I'm just gonna go back up here to saturation, and I'm gonna take that down just a tad bit. Yeah, okay. It's not looking as vibrant as it was before. And we're gonna use that color density tool. All right, so we also have film damage, which of course everything is pretty much self-explanatory. You can damage your film if you would like. As you guys can see, film breath, gate weave, overscan, just a bunch of different things. So your overscan is just going to add like the little border to your actual video. I personally don't prefer that. But if you prefer it, it's just something cool and extra to have. I think it's really cool. Now, vignetting is also something I like to do. I just think that it makes it look a lot more film-esque with the vignetting. So this is vignetting. applied. And of course you can actually change the amount of vignette that you get as well. Go back down to vignette. So you can change the exposure, you can change the feather size, you can change pretty much everything. I think I want it to be a little bit more darker. And you can also change the aspect ratio and mask as well. And yeah, so I'm just going to play this back for you guys so you can see what it looks like. It just looks so cool. Oh my god, I love it. And that's just a simple, straight to the point type of editing. Of course you can go deeper into it. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to use my code Assata10 when checking out at Dehancer to save you some money. And that is pretty much it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a big likes, big thumbs up, and comment below how you guys feel about Dehancer Film Emulation.